The following was recorded in front of a live studio audience at the Studio 21 Podcast Cafe. This is the United Podcast Network.
Welcome to the Quirky Dog Podcast, inspired by some of the quirkiest dogs you can ever imagine, and the owners who love them. This podcast is brought to you by the quirky couple themselves, Scott and Jess Williams. Their aim is to educate and entertain. Here's Scott and Jess.
Welcome, guys, and happy Wednesday. We are coming to you live from Salem, New Hampshire, and we are going to talk about the importance of social distancing as it relates to dogs, not only today, but always. And we'll explain what that topic means in a little bit. But first, we're going to start with the quirky tip of the day. The quirky tip of the day is these thin biothane leashes. So I know we've talked about biothane before, but my biothane guy just started sending us these thinner ones also. They're great for small dogs. So it's about the width of, I don't know, the car key. So I don't know. I didn't measure it with...
It's like 5/8 or something.
A ruler. Yeah, but it's thinner, it's smaller, it's lighter, and they're just great. The hardware is a little bit smaller, so if you have a real large clip on the collar, it might not be the best fit. But these thin leashes for the small dogs, and you can get them through us if you write us at studio@thequirkydog.com or contact us through Facebook at Canine Healing. I can hook you up with them, but they're not a product that we inventory all the time. But since they're so cool, I thought I'd share it for the tip of the day.
Well, it's a nice light leash, but it's also very strong. They're not going to chew through it easily and all that kind of stuff.
And we like
so
the biothane, as we've said before, because it's animal friendly and it doesn't smell and yada, yada, yada.
Yeah.
All right.
Miracle product. You're going to bury me in biothane.
Oh, Lord. So my good friend in Canada, Jen Grew, she's a dog trainer, actually, on the east end of Canada. She came up with this topic today, and I really like it. So basically, the whole premise is why it's inappropriate to make a fuss over someone else's cute dog and invite yourself over to say hi when the owner is giving you a clear signal of like, this isn't good, my dog isn't feeling comfortable and everything else. And then while I got my phone in my hand, I found this meme the other day too that tied directly into that I loved. So this says, dogs are like cleavage. Just because they are in public doesn't make it okay to stare or touch at them. And I liked that. And then
that's
it
news
says,
to me.
Oh my God, listen to him. Grab him by the cleavage.
Talk to my president about that.
Stop it. Every time there's a cigar, he has to do a Trump drop. And then at the bottom of that, tying into this, it says, and remember, as much as you love your own dog, that doesn't mean that every dog wants you all up in their face. And it's so entirely true. There's a video going around. I don't know if it's a Doberman or what, but this person is like kissing the Doberman's face, and the Doberman like full on attacks the person. It's terrible to watch. I can't even really watch it. But there's a lot of times that you don't want someone to approach your dog. Your dog may be totally fine, but one, you don't want to deal with it. Two, with the pandemic, there's been germs and everything, and people touching your dog has been a thing. And three, it's not their right to have to come up and do it. So Scott did a YouTube video, I don't know, last year about being assertive when you have a dog on a leash and ways you can block the public and stuff too. Do you want to give some tips for how you can help your dog?
I mean, most dog trainers know or have seen the Peter Kane video, which came out probably 3 years ago.
Good one, if you haven't seen it.
He titled, "Don't Pet My Dog, Damn It," or something to that effect. And he
probably had an F-bomb in there.
He went on a big rant about someone coming up and getting all over his dog. Understandably, he was irritated. But the fact that the video went viral just kind of showed you how big of an issue it is, because it really kind of hits a nerve with a lot of dog owners when people are running up on their dog and just, not even asking, but if they do ask, and you say, "I'd rather that you didn't,"
they're offended.
They're all pissed off at you. You're going to stand there and have an argument with you about the fact that they can't pet your dog for 5 minutes. I mean, it's crazy, And so it's kind of nice now with this social distancing that it's kind of pushed it off a little bit. It's a little bit easier now because people are not, they used to not be closing the gap. Now people aren't taking it as seriously again.
Yeah, but I mean, unless your dog's on a flexi and can go up to that person, normally if they're on, a 5 or 6 foot leash like this, by the time they're actually seeing your dog, they're within 6 feet and everything too. So it's been a good reminder that the social distancing thing actually benefits dogs, and it's something that you should carry forward into the whole life of your dog. Because even if this is a bunch of different ways this can go. So dog is super social. People are petting it. They're always being reinforced by different people on the street. Same thing when they meet other dogs, but this is more strangers and dogs. So they're excited to see a person, the person comes over and pets it. All that's doing is perpetuating that cycle. So now the next time they see a person, they're going to be even more excited because the last time they lured the person over, they got love, everything else. Maybe the dog's a little bit shy. Most people, I would say, don't know how to approach a dog that's shy. What are your tips that you always share with people as far as helping a dog through that?
Well, the general public are idiots. That's my opinion.
I know, but it just imparts some wisdom on how you
Well, I would say that if you're allowing your dog to drag you towards people that are giving it a lot of love and attention, you're reinforcing behavior
That's
you don't
what
like.
I said last time.
And then you have to put a lot of pressure on your dog to not pull.
Okay, but I want to talk about if it's a shy dog, how do you...
If it's a shy dog, well, I don't let people approach my dog regardless, but if I were going to let my dog interact with a person, it would be on the dog's terms. So I would give the person some treats. They could toss a treat on the floor between me and the dog. If my dog chose to go see them, then maybe they can have a little interaction. But if my dog says, I don't trust you and I think you're a freak show, it's not going to happen.
Yeah, and from a trainer's perspective, like Scott normally turns his body sideways to be a little less...
imposing.
Yeah, and doesn't make direct eye contact. If he does offer food, he may toss a treat at first or hold it in the very tip of his fingers rather than ask the dog to eat out of the hand real close to you. So there's a bunch of different techniques there, but the public isn't going to actually follow those or do any of those. So it's important that you're an advocate for your dog. So now the dog's too friendly. You're reinforcing that behavior. The dog's maybe a little bit shy. People don't know how to approach it correctly to make the experience better for the dog. If you have a shy dog, obviously you want to have good experiences with humans and dogs on the street and wherever else, and you want that to build the dog's confidence, not ruin the confidence. Maybe you have a dog that can get a little bit aggressive or, not only is unsure, they're a little bit forward with their aggression, and you don't want people approaching the dog in that instance either. So there's a bunch of different ways that you can be assertive if you have a dog on the street on a leash. Let's use the pig, and you can try to show some examples of these because you're a good one about this.
About the pig. Okay, we have an aggressive pig. And we have children about to run up on it.
We're going to leash the pig up. All right, so if you're here, show them a few things that you do to help create
what
this.
I do just to avoid that interaction without being a total dick, which is an option. You can just be rude.
We're still working
hey.
through that, but he has his moments.
It's easier, certainly easier. But what I do is when I hear someone saying, oh, look at the dog, and they're starting to come into my space as I'm walking, I will reinforce some healing, and I will give my dog all of my attention. I might even use some treats or something. But I don't look at these people at all, and I just keep walking. And what the people are looking for, in my opinion, that is telling them it's okay to approach your dog is eye contact. If you look at these people, you've heard what they said, you look at them, they're immediately just coming in. Even if you're saying, please don't pet my dog, just once they get that eye contact with you, they're not thinking clearly anymore. They're just going to come in or it's going to be, you're opening the invitation for dialogue at that point. Oh, I want to pet your dog. I'd rather you didn't. Why not? Back and forth, back and forth. I don't want to talk to people. I just keep going. I don't look at the people, and I just keep walking.
And
that helps most always. I never have a problem with that.
Yeah, and that goes for the dogs too, because now this person is locking eyes with your dog, and they're creating this connection. If you're regaining the dog's attention, and if you can't do that on a leash on the street or wherever you may be, you might want to do some attention games and some training so you can actually engage your dog. But he's also getting his dog from locking eyes also. So now, because he's created engagement with him, that person and the dog aren't going to connect, because that's a similar thing. It's like this magnetism of oh, the dog's looking at me, I'm looking at him, I'm going to go, 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 go. And it's a known fact that we, get increased levels of oxytocin and everything else by petting dogs, but that isn't your right to go up and pet somebody else's dog just because it makes you feel good.
Yeah, and then if they're still coming and it's a situation where they're on the other side of your dog, so your dog is between you and this person.
Yeah, here, use the pig.
Then I would just shorten up on my leash and just manage my dog by the dog is here, just pulling them back so that now the dog is over on this side. And while I'm moving, just shifting my dog over to my right side from my left to put my body between the public and my dog. And I've learned all this stuff through necessity because I've had dogs in the past that would bite the shit out of someone, that got in their space and started doing all kinds of crap to them. And it's a lot of responsibility to have a dog like that, but you learn how to handle a dog like that in all situations because I didn't want anything to happen to the dog. I didn't want him to get I didn't want to have any kind of legal issues. I didn't want to have somebody get hurt, I didn't want to lose the dog because I enjoyed the dog, but he was sharp and he wasn't great with people he didn't know. So I learned a lot of these techniques with him.
Yeah, and if your dog isn't going to be aggressive, that's fine. If your dog's going to be friendly, that's fine. I can't remember the last time I saw an interaction on the street with a dog and a human where the dog was just like calm and behaving appropriately, and the person petting it wasn't escalating the situation. Maybe if you're talking about like some 15-year-old golden at the vet's office and you go up and, the dog is just real subdued and everything goes fine. But there could be jumping. Now, all of a sudden, your dog jumps up on somebody, scratches them on the street. It doesn't have to be forward aggression. It's just your dog has to, people want to come see the dog and they're like, oh, he's jumping. Home Depot is my favorite. The Home Depot employees walk around with treats all the time, and we'll take pet dogs to Home Depot a lot just to get them out on a field trip, see what they're like in another situation. And without fail, the employees are like, oh, can I give the dog a treat? And if you say yes, then they start sit. Like, no, if you're going to give the dog a treat, like literally all I want you to do is take the treat out and give it to my dog. Don't ask him to do anything. Don't start training my dog. Don't act like Caesar Milan. Just give the treat. So normally even employees at Home Depot that are used to seeing dogs every day, or Lowe's or Big Lots or whatever you want to call it with any dog-friendly places, they're not even respecting boundaries and doing things properly. They asked to do something, you agreed to it, and then they totally changed the course of the game.
Yeah, and dog trainers and general pet owners tend to look at socialization very differently. And dog trainers look at socializing a dog by getting them exposed to different situations, different surfaces, environments, so that the dog is confident in all situations. It's not about greeting every dog on the street, seeing every person, every child, every handicapped person. That's not what we mean by socialization. We want the dog to be well behaved in all situations and be comfortable walking, on wet grass and doing these type of things and not being stressed out about it.
Yeah, but a well-socialized dog is honestly like a balanced dog. If you're gonna think of that, an emotionally balanced dog, a dog that can adapt to new situations and everything else. So we talked a little bit about how you can kind of block this off from the get-go and everything else, but some people are super, super, super pushy. So after break, we're going to give you some more tips on people like that and why the correct interactions are important for times like when you're at the vet and everything else. So
and we're going to have some links to some stun guns, some bear spray. What else are we recommending?
This isn't aversive. We're acting like. All right, guys, we're going to go to a quick break for Happy Howies. We'll see you when we get back.
Happy Howie's all-natural dog treats are made with real, slow-cooked beef, lamb, and turkey. Choose from deli-style sausages, wolf sticks, jerky, burger treats, and our soft meat roll treats. All of our treats are available in bulk or in convenient resealable packages. And dogs just love Happy Howie's. They are made in the USA and available at thousands of retailers nationwide. And online at happyhowies.com. Try Happy Howies today and save 10% with promo code Quirky10. Happy Howies. We're making it real.
All right, we have had so many guests on lately that we haven't had our Quirky Question of the Day segment pop up. So we filtered through all of our questions that have been piling up, and Scott liked this one most. So the question was from Fred in Alabama, and it was, what do I do if animal control comes to the house? And this is a legitimate question that any animal owner, especially a dog owner with a barking dog, may encounter. So what's the answer there? Because this is a topic near and dear to your heart.
Well, if animal control comes to your house, probably there's been a complaint. It could be a neighbor. Most likely it's a neighbor and it's a barking issue, something like that. Or it could be another, if you're a breeder, it could be another breeder who's just trying to throw you under the bus and kind of undermine your business or something. But the bottom line is an animal control officer is he's a government official.
He or she.
He or she, and I would not let them on the property, let alone in my house. I wouldn't be rude. There's no need to be rude, but they're going to ask you if they can come in. They're not going to tell you they're coming in. They're going to say, could I come in and take a look around? We've had some issues with this, that, and the other thing. Now, if you're this responsible dog owner, you're going to say, oh, of course, no problem, because you know that your dog is well cared for. You know that your home is clean And you might even be proud of the fact that your house is clean and that your crates are nice and the dog has water and all that stuff. But they're going to come in and start taking pictures of everything. And you don't know, it's just not in your best interest to ever let someone come into your house with that, unless they have a warrant, that's going to start taking pictures and documenting things that you're doing. It's none of their business, and they have no right to do it. So the bottom line is be polite, but decline to allow them to come in and look around. There shouldn't be, now the only reason they could come in is if they heard someone screaming for help or gunfire in the house or some BS that gives them cause to come in. But if they come to the house because there was a complaint, if there was barking, they're going to give you a warning. They're going to say, your dog's barking, the neighbor complained, you got to shut your dogs up. If it happens, we're going to have to give you a fine, or worst case scenario, there'll be some type of a legal proceeding or something. But they're going to push as much as they can to get in and look around. And, it's happened to me. And, I had someone staying at my house watching my dogs. And I don't know if there was barking. I wasn't there. But the neighbors called animal control. They came to the house. And the guy that was watching my house said, the owner isn't home. You can't come in. And they left. And he called me and told me what was up. And there was nothing they could do. I was grateful they didn't let the guy, these people come and roam all through my house taking pictures of everything. But
yeah, and
you don't need to you don't need to help them get you in trouble.
That's the thing. You don't want to open up a can of worms, because like when I was touring around with the canine entertainment stuff, we'd have to be USDA inspected. And this goes a little bit level deeper, but like the food had to be in proper bins and sealed, and like just all these little nitpicky things. You don't want to open yourself up to, there's, kibble in the backyard and there's bugs in the kibble. And now all of a sudden the animal control officer can start asking some more questions and poking around. There's some green slime in the water outside. Like, you don't need to create a problem where there isn't one. So bottom line is, if animal control does come and they, knock on your door, be polite, be respectful, but don't just invite them in for snacks and appetizers.
Yeah, and the thing is, the people that would invite the animal control officer in are the people that are doing a good job. You don't have anything to hide. It's just like when the police say, hey, we'd like to take you in and question you about this, that, and the other thing. And you're innocent. So you're like, yeah, fine, happy to talk to you. I don't need a lawyer. I don't have anything to hide. Next thing you know, you're in deep shit. You don't even know what the hell happened. Someone's taking your picture and saying, yeah, that was the guy.
Yeah, no, we're not trying to make you paranoid, but just be aware of your rights there and how to handle that situation. And it does come up sometimes. So getting back to all this social distancing stuff, we have kind of made the assumption that you can always control the situation. And I would say, for the most part, you can. You were rushed one time in Cabela's when we had Cousteau, and you just kind of grabbed his muzzle and diffused the situation. But for the most part, you need to be aware of your surroundings as a dog owner when you're out and about. And you not giving these cues and not inviting people in and everything else should keep people kind of at a distance. Now, if they just full on just walk into your space and you're just like at that moment, there's a few different things you can do. So explain what happened at Cabela's.
Well, what I do is I will put the dog behind me, or I will step in front of my dog completely, again, body blocking my dog from the public, especially with children. The kids come in, they're well-meaning, they want to see a dog, they're excited to see a dog, they're not thinking, they're not listening, they're not well-behaved, they're just kids, And so I immediately body block, and just to diffuse the situation, and I will say that my dog is a little bit nervous, or I don't say the dog is aggressive or unfriendly. I'll say the dog is shy and not good with kids, or something like that, to diffuse the situation. Because if I say the dog has some aggression issues, then you get at the big thing of, well, what the hell is your dog doing out in public if it's going to bite someone? You're not responsible, and they get into all of this back and forth.
You're not trying to have any dialogue. And unless it's like your immediate neighbors, if you're out somewhere, make up a freaking story. Like when Scott brought up the kids, that reminded me, some kids now are getting better about asking, hey, can I pet your dog? Because that's something that we're trying to teach the younger generation. So a lot of times that happens, and maybe I'm walking a pet dog somewhere else. It isn't even a dog I own. So I will say, thank you so much for asking, sweetie, but no, this isn't my dog. This dog's here for training, or whatever else. Like, you don't have to say, If he's fearful of people, tell him he has rabies. I don't care, but just get the people away. And if people are now like in your dog's space and that's happening, you need to do something physical. Hey, please stop. And again, you don't need to go right to the asshole card. You don't have to create a big conflict there. And sometimes the person is really upset. They're really offended. There was this video that went up, trainer friends of ours in Arizona, they were training a dog, and this person was like pissed that the person couldn't come up and pet the dog. The dog was practicing a sit stay, and this random person went to come up, and they said, no, we're training right now. And it became a thing. The person's like, why is the dog in public if I can't pet it? And da-da-da. Because the dog is not there for you. I mean, that's just the bottom line. The dogs are not out here for your own benefit. And it's not that your dog can never say hi to someone or anything else, but you have to weigh out the cost-benefit analysis of all of that.
Well, if you have a dog that is friendly and is, calm enough to keep 4 feet on the ground, and kids come up and they're polite and say, hey, could I pet your dog? You may decide to, if you have some treats, say, here, you can give them a treat. Here's a treat for you. Here's a treat for you. Put it out like this, like you're feeding a horse. Let the dog eat the treat out of your hand. They can have some interaction with the dog if you choose to do it. But I don't know what the public is going to do. And I'll give you an example. I was in an airport. I was shipping a dog across the country in Malinois, and I was in cargo in Boston. Cargo. And this dog was super social. I mean, that's why we had to send her back. We only like the sharp ones. This dog was so loving. And so this guy is in there in cargo, and he goes, oh, can I pet your dog? And I said, yeah, sure. And I'm starting to fill out paperwork. He pets the dog. Next thing I know, he's on the floor, laying on the floor. The dogs, they're rolling around like having this big heyday. I'm like, what the hell are you doing? I had to pull the dog away from him. All he has to do is pet the dog. And it escalated that quickly to they're slobbering all over each other and everything. And, it's just too much.
That is not social distancing. And with kids, it's similar too. Like maybe your dog is super calm. If your dog has a little bit of prey drive or something, kids really get in the mode of like, yeah, I want to pet the dog. And then they go to pet it and then they start like pulling away and doing all this weird twitchy stuff. And for a dog that's drivey and has prey drive, that can activate them, or it can also freak them out. Like, why are you acting like that? They may be excited to do it, and then maybe the hair feels different, or they've been nervous before, or something else. So if you are going to have interaction with kids with a social dog, like Scott said, starting with the treat and holding that out, and then try to teach kids that, like, when you are going to interact with the dog, give them a full pet. Even, your own puppy and your own dog, like you want to instill, this is like the way that we treat a dog, and you're going to stroke them calmly, not forever, not get them all worked up, but don't be retreating back. That doesn't help. And really the main reason that I'm conscious of this stuff as far as how my dogs interact with other people is I want to be able to do anything to my dogs that I want. Like if I need to take their temperature, I want to be able to do that. I had my Malinois, he had a tooth cut out with local anesthetic. I've had a mast cell tumor taken off that same dog with local anesthetic. Like I want to be able to handle my dog in any situation and feel like I can make that happen. And a lot of times a vet needs to be there. I fly with an ESA dog a lot of times, an emotional support animal, and the TSA needs to check my dog and their vest and be able to handle the dog. I want them to have good interactions with other people and neutral interactions. So if I have to stand there and be like, yeah, go ahead, pat down the vest or do whatever, or if I have to have some procedure done, I have control of the dog. And now they're not like, oh, the vet's coming in and I'm freaked out and everything's an issue. Scott's dog, who's a little bit sharp, the dog from Cabela's, we both go into the exam room. We handle him fine. We can lift up his tail to take the temperature. We can show any part of his body together, but we're not like handing that dog off to Tex to deal with it. But because he has not had negative interactions with people and we haven't let people make him feel stressed when he's with us, he knows he feels safe with us. So it's important that you're creating these boundaries and these ground rules so that you can let your dog go see people when and if you want in situations and they're comfortable with that. And if your dog is used to meeting every single person on the street and you decide the 10th person they're not going to meet, they better just march right by and go on with their walk and be comfortable, and they're okay with that. They're not pining now over that person and reaching back like, oh, please, let's go back and see that person. And if something has to happen where, they have a little bit of a sprained toe or something and it has to be manipulated, they're not freaking out because they're used to you just saying like, hey, I got your back. I'm going to make sure you're safe, and I'm not going to let these assholes ruin your day or my day.
Yeah, I mean, these days, a real good technique is, take off the mask and start coughing in their direction as they're approaching. And you should get a nice, wide berth as you walk down the boardwalk.
At least if you're in the States. If you're anywhere else, I don't know. But
yeah, that only happens in the Northeast. Out in Texas, I guess they don't mind. You cough all over each other.
Stop it. These cigars, I guess it's because he doesn't drink or do drugs
Down
or
in
anything.
Florida, like, hey, cough on me, baby.
But when he has these cigars, it gets a little bit spun out. No, but really, it's a really important thing to realize. And, think about the cleavage thing. Just because it's there doesn't mean it has to be touched. And it's true.
This is not the right shirt for that analogy.
I got to do laundry. I got to view how many podcasts I'm two out there and how many I'm covered up. So really, though, you want to be an advocate for your dog, and you want the public. This is also like a PSA to the public. And the problem with this podcast is it's mostly dog listeners and mostly conscientious dog owners who are trying to, do the best for their dog and everything else. But the general public needs to check themselves a bit rather than just be like, oh, that dog looks cute. Oh, I owned that breed when I was young. Like, I need to go and cuddle with him and pet him. Like, no, you don't. Go get your own damn dog. Go foster a dog. Our dogs are not there for your enjoyment. Our dogs are there to be under control, not create a nuisance in society, and for them to enjoy their lives and us to enjoy them in our lives. They have nothing to do with you. I really don't care. We bring dogs to the podcast sometimes. I want the interactions to be positive for them. We don't go and parade them all downstairs to everybody smoking cigars and sitting in the lounge. I don't care if they want to see the dog or not. They might not want to see the dog.
Cigar smokers don't like dogs. So. I was going to say...
Maybe it's just that dogs don't like cigar smoke.
Not to interrupt you, but it's been proven, I guess, scientifically that petting a dog releases oxytocin in your brain. Did you say that already?
Yeah. I mean, it's like Groundhog Day.
I know.
It literally is.
But these people are getting high on your dog. I was thinking about making a T-shirt. Make a T-shirt. It's like, $10, $20, pet my dog, and see if they're willing to pay up. Because then I can stand there and just collect 20s for an hour and a half. Go ahead, I'll step on the leash. Go ahead. Next.
The petting booth. Oh my gosh. All right. Guys, if you have any questions on this, let us know. But this really is a thing. And it seems like, you guys are over exaggerating and everything else. Like, it's happened to us a ton of times. It happens to our clients a ton of times. Like, you, first of all, need to be an advocate, and you need to be more assertive and everything else. And just in general, just stay in your own lane. Deal with your own dog. Deal with your own dog within your friend circle and your family circle. Don't be branching out, especially if you're not welcome.
Imagine doing it to other people's kids. Yeah. Just run up, hey, can I pet your kid? I mean, I've done it, but the parents aren't usually around. No, I'm just kidding.
This is why he can't have cigars.
It's the cigar.
All right, it's serious. We're gonna have to film somewhere else. Next week we have a very, very special guest on, our dear friend from California, who's an excellent animal communicator. And in the meantime, guys, stay safe out there. Keep it quirky, and you know where to find us. studio@thequirkydog.com.
Take care, guys. Talk to you later.
The views and opinions expressed by the hosts, guests, or callers of this program do not necessarily reflect the opinions of the Studio 21 Podcast Cafe, the United Podcast Network, its partners, or affiliates.